Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I know, nope, stop, because I did that with Rashida. Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. This week I have Tamara here with me. She's going to be talking about classroom management tips, which I know a lot of you guys are thinking about since it's the beginning of the school year. Now, before we move any further and Tamara begins talking about all of those tips that you're dying to hear, you know what I'm going to do. If you have not already done so, please subscribe to my channel. And if you like this video, please be sure to click like. If you want to check out the blog for this particular video, you can check that out at xjonespennies.blogspot.com. And if you would like to contact me, you can contact me via my website at xjonesconsulting.weebly.com. Hello everyone and welcome back. Today I have Tamara here with me. She is going to be talking about classroom management tips to help you manage your classroom. So Tamara, can you just tell us a little bit about what you're going to talk about today?
Sure. Today I'm going to help teachers learn how to effectively manage their classroom for any grade level in any content area.
All right, so if you're interested in classroom management tips, just be sure to stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Tamara. So once again, today I'm going to help teachers learn how to effectively manage their classroom. I'm giving you 5 tips. First, let me say, I'm assuming that you have created rigorous, engaging lesson plans that are content and age appropriate. That's a must. If you do not have that, regardless of all the routines and procedures you have in place, you're going to really struggle with managing your class. Tip number 1, establish routines and procedures. Make sure you create routines and procedures that are age appropriate at the beginning of the school year. You want to teach students how to enter and exit your classroom, how to submit homework, how to raise their hand, anything that you're going to be doing on a regular basis or even sometimes not as frequently. For instance, if you do group activities, you want to make sure that you actually teach them how to do group activities as well, so that if you're doing it once a week, once a month, or however frequent that you're doing it, students know how to do it and are able to jump back into that routine. After you teach them or explain to them what you want to do, you want to make sure that you're actually giving them mind, body, and voice directions. Do not assume that your students know what to do, how to do it, or when to do it. So with mind, body, voice direction, you're doing just that. For example, if you want students to raise their hands in a particular way, instruct them on how to do that. For instance, remain in your seat and silently raise your hand. As you're waiting in your seat, think about the question that you want to ask me. So body is actually remaining in the seat and raising of the hand. Voice, silent. And then what they're doing with their mind is actually thinking about the question that they want to ask you. Tip number 2, build a list of non-negotiables or class rules. Creating a list of non-negotiables together as a class will help allow for student buy-in. This is because students will appreciate having their voice heard by you. You want to pull out the big picture items that your students are sharing with you. These big picture items allow you to really just put things into a category and group them. For instance, your students might share out, raise your hand to speak, do not yell at someone, no put downs. All of these things can go under the big picture item of respect. You also want to make sure that you keep your list short and simple. More than likely, you want to have a list of maybe 3 to 5 things that your students can always remember. And you want to avoid negative speak. In other words, share with your students the things you actually want to see them hear and do not say things like that. So don't say no talking during a quiz, or no getting up out of your seat or anything like that. You might want to share, remain silent during a quiz. Tip number 3, create a consequence plan. You want to make sure the consequence plan is one that suits your needs as an individual teacher and one that is also supported by your school administrators or dean. Your consequence plan is something that's in place to help you make sure that you enforce the procedures and the non-negotiables that you all establish together as a class. For your consequence plan, you want to have maybe about 3 to 4 tiered steps, with each step increasing in intensity. For instance, step number 1, if you notice any behavior that doesn't fit your classroom climate, step 1 might be to simply correct or redirect your student. Step number 2 may be to give a phone call home. Step number 3 may be a mini conference. Again, this just depends on you as an individual teacher and then what your school is able to support. Do not have in your consequence plan, for instance, that you're going to ask a student to leave if you know for certain your school administrator or dean would not support putting students out of the classroom. And also, that should be the last resort for very egregious behavior only. Don't forget, your consequence plan must be consistent and fair, and you have to follow through 100% of the time. If you do not, your students will be confused and they will not adhere to the consequences that you have established. Tip number 4, acknowledge or reward positive behavior. You want to make sure that you're acknowledging positive behavior as much as possible and as frequently as possible. Acknowledging or rewarding positive behavior could be as simple as giving a thumbs up, giving positive praise, or just in any other way, allowing your students to know that you're recognizing when they're on track. Oftentimes, teachers think that rewarding positive behavior has to be some big production. It doesn't. If you want to reward your students at the end of the year or end of the semester with a pizza party or something grand like that, that's fine if they earn it together as a class. But don't forget to think about the small things, like maybe a sticker on an exam that they really did a great job on, or even sometimes making sure that you call home to give positive praise to their parent guardian. So you don't want to just call home with bad news, you want to call home with good news. So remember to reward positive behavior. And tip number 5 is to establish meaningful relationships. You want to establish meaningful relationships with your students right away. And what I mean by meaningful relationships is get to know your students as individuals. Ask them how their day was, their weekend was, and try to remember and recall those things. And later on, when you have an opportunity to have one-on-one conversations with your students, make those connections. Let them know that you're thinking about them and you're remembering what's going on in their lives outside of what's going on in the classroom. Equally important to establishing great relationship with your student is also establishing a positive and meaningful relationship with their parents. So you want to make sure at the beginning of the year you send home a letter introducing yourself. If at all possible, call home and introduce yourself as well. You can invite parents into your classroom to observe or to come in and volunteer. If you establish a meaningful relationship with your students' parents in the beginning of the year, that allows them to know you as a person, as a teacher, and then just help them to feel that you really are together with them, trying to get the best possible outcome for their students' academic progress.
Okay, everyone, it is recap time. So quickly, Tamara is just going to go over again those 5 tips that will help you with classroom management.
Okay. First, be sure to establish routines and procedures. Then, build a list of non-negotiables or class rules together as a class. Have a consequence plan in place that you can actually stick to 100% of the time. Acknowledge or reward positive behavior, and establish meaningful relationships with your students and their families.
Well, everyone, I hope that you enjoyed this week's video. I hope you learned a lot about classroom management. You can really apply that information to your classrooms. If you like this video, please be sure to click like. And if you haven't done so already, I don't know what you're waiting for, please be sure to subscribe to my channel. If you want to know more information about Tamara's video today, you can check out my blog at xjonespennies.blogspot.com. And if you would like to contact either myself or Tamara, you can via my website at xjonesconsulting.weebly.com. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we will see you next time.